Nice, kicking off this heads up. Oh my gosh, we're already starting off with a banger. I casts raising with King King. This is nice. It's Queen 9. Just want to see what Joe does here. It's a fun hand. They muted each other, it looks like, during the play. Um, so, wow, I know Cass is going to do here. I think that he's really. Let's see. Let's just take a look. Oh, yeah, makes it 57. Wow. Yeah, that's really good from Joe. Just kind of avoiding catastrophe there. Loved it. Him raising there, he really can just put Cass and really define his range really well when he raises. He just knows he's always beat. But welcome everybody who's watching. It's my buddy Joe and Cass. They're playing heads up. Both bought in for 500. We're gonna see who's gonna take it away today. It's gonna be a fun match here. They're playing 1-2. They both bought in for 500. So this is just we're rooting for somebody to win, obviously. Now in this, they can't see obviously the whole cards. I'm in this site. We're able to just give me all the whole cards and viewing those. So we're able to take a look at it just like in any normal stream game. I like this bet by Joe with the backdoor hearts in the 7. But what he's against, he looks like he's in some trouble with this hand. Whereas Castle likes to raise here. It's pretty standard, I think. Gonna call. Oh, this is catastrophe for Joe. He's definitely gonna think that he has the best hand all the time here, and that little bet is just asking to get raised off. What's what he likes to do. Yeah, Joe does raise. Wow. Let's see what Cass does here. Just makes the call. I expect Cass here to check a lot. Yep. And Joe might go thin. He might go for a thin value bet here against a lot of the ace range of Cass. See what he does. Yeah, that's just over half pot. It's interesting. I think it's just a square call from Cass. I think that you're just gonna have to call it off, and yep, he gets the bad news. Bad news. It's a nice hand. Cass off to a nice lead here. I imagine that Cass, does bet this 9 on occasion. When it pairs on the turn, he just decides not to. A little bit of trappy style here. Jack's back. He's just going to win this $10 hand. I like this bet by Joe. I'm just taking the bottom of his range, and he's just going to have to bet it. He knows he's just never good, even with unpaired hands that Cass is going to have there. This is a nice bet. We go for the 3-bet here with the ace-10 suited. I really like that by Cass. I just want to see what Joe ends to doing faced with this little level of aggression here out of position. He is in position. Could take a flop with the Jack-2 suited. He does like to do so. So let's play some streets. Ace-10 continuing to barrel here. Yeah, just get the fold from a lot. Let me just take the flop here. Both people here definitely have a hand. Joe with this gut shot. I imagine he bets the gutter quite a bit here. There is merit for checking this, though. Yeah, he goes with the bet. Small, 1/3. It's definitely going to be something Cass is going to call. And Cass just makes the flush. Here we go. Let's see what he likes to do with it, though. Oh, so this leads to check. I should just double barrel by Joe. Definitely just targeting something like a 7 or a 4 to fold now. Mostly a 4. Castile decides that he's probably getting called by a lot of higher clubs there on the turn that at least have the draw as well. And so I like his raise. We have Castile with the second pair on the paired board. 4 shouldn't change too much. I'm just kind of unsure what Joe will do with the king high. King high has enough showdown value a lot of the times in these spots that he can do either one. I expect Cass to check back and just take showdown here. Yep, and he does. Just wins the small. Here with the open-ender with Cass and backdoor clubs, I do like to see a bet from him quite a bit. And unfortunately, Joe, having just a not really nice hand pre-flop, just going to let this go. Queen could get really messy here on the turn if it does end up turning a queen. Oh, this is really, really crazy. So, oh, and so Cass decides to lead here on this board with the gutter and the top pair. Wow. And he makes it on the river. I mean, he's just going to have to go pretty. I like that bet. Um, and Joe's forced to call and get shown the bad news. Man, you had him. He had him the whole way. He's definitely just getting variance. Variance is getting rough or getting Joe roughed up here. And it's hard to beat heads up. Castle takes showdown here, all day, and that makes some sense for sure. I don't think that Joe was ever folding. Both have a hand here. Joe flopping the flush draw with Cass, backdoor nut flush draw and a gut shot, straight draw to the 5. I really want to see how we progress with just a call. Once Joe turns the flush, Cass has a flush draw now to go with his gut shot. The gut shot that no longer is good. We do have potentially some fireworks going on in this hand. Joe electing to just fast play the king jack, turns 2 pair. It's a bit of a scary board. Cass just making the call second pair, just very non-believing. Goes for the 38. It's a nice hand by Joe. Definitely kicking off a lot more, a lot closer to even now. That was a really nice hand by Castile. Turn the double gutter and just barreling it. I really like that play. Tries to just get the win before, so he doesn't have to realize any of the equity of his hand. Flop top pair for Joe here against the ace queen cast. Cast just lead this board. I think that's just kind of a range bet for him, and that's more than fine for him. So he turns the gutter though with the ace queen. He decides to check. That fold does surprise me a little bit by Castile, but as we can see here, definitely the right move. He was very far behind. Playing with Castile definitely has a style of his own. Definitely a very, very for field player. Gets a good card sense of what he's holding, what's going on the flops. Oh, I'm going to be quiet and let this hand play out. This is a top of range for either player. Yeah, unfortunately, Cass didn't have any type of pair to try to call him down with. So that's good. Cass can save some money there. Really well played by Joe. Definitely disguised the strength of his hand there. This is a really interesting turn. So Joe ends up turning, not only with his open-ended draw on the flop, but he ends up turning a diamond. It's really important. I expect Cass to bet this ace a lot, and Joe can go nowhere. He can actually elect to go to either way with his hand. Decides to just call, take the equity he has, and I think that this hand, yeah. And Cass decides that it's just a little bit too thin to go for value with the 8 kicker there with the ace. On that board, I don't mind it. He's not holding a diamond, so it is likely that Joe could be trapping with some diamonds there. So from time to time, you're going to see that play. Cass does like to pot control in hands like that. He does not like to get into a situation where it's tough for him to decide whether he's calling off the whole stack. In that situation, it would be really tough to call something like a check raise from Joe, and I think that he's got some sense for that. The A7 offsuit here, checking, is pretty standard. Unfortunately, yeah, Joe's just not going to get any action from specifically that hand of Cass. But Joe definitely had a really nice hand on that flop. It was really nice. Pair and a flush draw heads up. Usually a fairly strong hand. You're not beat by a whole lot. I like Cass's raise here out of position. Especially keeping this pot small. He's going to be deeper to play a bigger hand. The 5 with the 7 here. Definitely a standard call. And now Cass has checked the jack, which makes sense. He's checked. I would like to see Cass go for a big bet here, but he may just check to take the king high showdown. That's a nice bet. I actually really like this move from Cass. Plus Joe in a tough spot. He's beat by quite a few hands now. He does make the call with the 5. That's really, really good. Good call by Joe. Actually, it was really good by both players. I really like the bet by Castile. He's going to make that same bet by hitting the river. He's going to have 2 pair. He's going to have top pair. He's going to have a lot of hands that go for value there. Oh, I'm going to be quiet because now we have a huge hand. I have a middle set and the gut shot to the nuts. It's a really, really good and quick fold by Joe. Regardless of his gut shot to the nuts, he knows that the hands that Castile is going to be raising there usually have him just either crush or dead. Joe electing to not pay Doyle any tribute with the 10 deuce offsuit, decides to just muck it, which makes, that's pretty standard. But talk with Joe previous to this, and he is going to make some moves. He does want to do a little bit of some exploited play, and I expect to see that as we go through. This is kind of one of those types of hands, just kind of feeling like he's good there on that flop a lot. It's kind of a range bet. Wow, Castile electing to go for the raise pre here. Does get rewarded with something of a flop that he does end up turning the nuts with. Well, sorry, the straight with. And he is not going to slow down. And I don't think he should. There are some high diamonds that are going to call him there, and some 2 pairs. It was really well played hand. My brother may show up to do his commentary with me. It just kind of depends. So, to grace us with his presence if he so decides. And the Ducks don't get any action, unfortunately. Castile here flopping the Uber nuts. So he has the nut straight with, well, I guess not the second nut straight with backdoor diamonds. Very strong hand here. And Joe turning the 5, I just don't see him going anywhere quite yet. And here Joe makes the higher straight on the river with the queen ball. Bam. Cass doesn't feel like he played that hand too well. I actually plan on going through and taking some of the hands out of this and doing a little bit of a hand breakdown um, to see what would be the logical strategy for them. So, Castillo, we'll find out later how we played that hand, man. I'll go and do a hand breakdown for you. Castelleck's just not even getting there with the queen deuce. I think he's just trying to play a bit of a stronger range against an exploitative strategy. That would be my theory. I have had no talks with Cass about how he approaches this match, but this seems to be kind of what he's planning on doing. And to prove me wrong, he decides to raise the deuce 4 offsuit to keep himself balanced, which, hey, we all love that balance, man. Originally, we were going to have this stream where we could hear the players talk to each other. I don't think that's going to be something that we can get going for right now. However, I will go ahead and take the time to check. I'll just give it a minute while we have the same hand. Obviously, Castile, the edge there, a little bit higher. Really interesting whenever both two players have the same exact hand. All right, we are recording 30 minutes in. The length of time that Castile took for that, I think, is a little bit of something he wants to uh, put into this match. It's a little bit of some tells, some false tells. He does like to do that with some of the bets here. Be interested to see how what he does with this, because you are supposed to have some check raise bluffs, and when you're not sure of what combination to use, using the worst combination you're going to arrive here with is not the worst thing I've ever heard of doing. Against a limp, I expect that Joe raises this a fair frequency. She does like to do. It's a fantastic flop for Joe. Unfortunately, Cass is just not going to have a lot here to go on. And so he does check. He senses that, checks it over. But we see that Cass has top pair. So in this instance, he does have something to hold on with. So he is going to go for the check raise. Castile. It just kind of depends on what he feels like Joe is on right here. Makes an interesting laydown. Shows the jack, and we are unsure about how that was going to work out for them. I think the jack 3 is fine to lay that down. He is very rarely ever going to be ahead. We see there it was probably a flip between either one. Joe now with the 5. Just so he just kind of bets this quite a bit. Correct. Goes for the 1/3 pot sizing and gets rewarded with the 2 pair. Fortunately, Cass has also turned some equity. He has open-ended now. And decides to donk on the 7. Actually, I don't mind that play. It's just really tough when you get to this river. There's a lot of follow-throughs you're going to have. And so when you don't improve, there is just give up or go large. He's choosing to just take the to give up now, realizing that Joe just has so many stronger hands that he's just called the turn with. Cash raising the suited ace. I expect Joe to call a lot with suited undercards, so this does make sense. Flopping top pair here, backdoor nut flush draw. Really strong hand for Cass. Let's see how Joe decides to proceed with it. Yeah, that's a lot. Makes sense. Kings and Queen 10 here. I'm just going to let this one play out. We get the raise from Joe. I'm going to see what Cass does with it. Oh, this is wow. We do get the top pair for Castile. Little does he know. Joe has the kings. So raised to 20. The donk here, lead here on the 8 is a very interesting play. Castile will do some unorthodox plays, and it has worked out really well for him in the past. He will jab at you on turns that he feels like just aren't going to hit you that often. Joe deciding to kind of balance the strategy here with the 10-3 offsuit. Castile choosing the king queen out of position says, I get a feeling for this. I'm just going to go ahead and raise you now. Takes it down. I liked it. Cass flopping open-ended here. Unfortunately, Joe doesn't really have anything until now. So Joe turns the 4 here. I think he's just trying to look to get to showdown a lot. Cass has so many ways to win. It's a clear bet. I like this. Gets called. Makes the hand. I wonder what Joe's going to do here. This has a clear bet. Goes large. Goes very large. Over pot. Really interesting We're a bet here. I wonder what Joe's thinking. Joe says, I just don't have enough hand here. And Joe laughing in the chat about that last hand. He's just probably thinking to that sizing. I mean, minimum I'm calling you with a club somewhere. Castiel raises the king 9 suited. I like that, especially in position. Let's see what Joe decides to do with the 4s. Goes for the 3-bet. Makes the call. Like Joe to either check or range bet this. He decides range bet's good. Be really interesting if Joe decides to choose the double barrel. He doesn't. He says that I'm just going to go ahead and take the 4s. I feel like I'm beat a lot here. He is correct. Yeah. I think that was standardly played by both players there. Very standard. It's nice. Joe ramping up the aggression with the Jack 4. Shout out to Robbie, I guess. If anybody wants to know my real opinion on that whole shenanigan, you can have a talk with me in person or write me an email. I don't care. I'll let you know exactly what I think. It's not the time or the place, though. Let's get the raise in position with the 8-6. And Joe's gonna have a gut shot here. Cast just the ace high with the 5. There's some merit going either way here for Joe. He chose the more aggressive line. And I'm going to see that a lot. You're going to see that a lot from Joe over time. You're going to see him just when there's some merit for either choosing a passive or aggressive line, he tends to choose the more aggressive lines, which has really worked out for him in the past. Castiel gets to outflop Joe once again with the king against the sailboats here. I know it's the 4s, but let's do some poker vernacular, right? Bats. I just don't see Castiel going anywhere here. Oh, goes for the raise. I really like this. Kind of targeting a lot of the draws that include diamonds. He's going to get called by and still be way ahead of. So it's a good raise by Castiel. Joe, we're going to have kings again. Wow. Really nice hand to wake up with again against Castiel. Having the queen 9, definitely very playable hand. So let's see what happens here. Cass has to just put this in the limp range for himself, which is more than fine in position. And he's got some stuff going on here. Middle pair and some backdoor straight draws. I like this. Joan, standard. He chooses this combo to raise. Wow. See, this is kind of what I'm saying. That you're going to see some of this. Joe's going to put a lot of hands in a tough spot. Joe, realizing the cast is going to do this with some things, he's just going to raise right away. He says, I'm really done with your equity here. Wow, what a turn. What a turn for Joe. So Joe turns set. Top set here. I wonder where he goes with it. He's going to bet. Bet call. And here's Joe with the nuts. I like this bet from Joe. He's really targeting anything that can call. Everything from he's targeting all the way down to trip sevens, straight, and worse full houses. If he sizes up somewhere in the realm of 200 plus, he's really trying to target. And Joe is just, or Castile is just not believing him with the 9 here. He says, I just don't believe that you have what you're repping. Gets shown the bad news. He had it. And there you go. You see some of that good river chicken going on there for Joe. Realizes that the 7 is just going to hit him a lot more often. And he's just going to bet it knowing that he likely does not win at showdown. The 6-7 versus the 6-8. It's an interesting hand. So we're gonna see who wants this one more. Usually these go to the individual that's in position often wins these, but here we see that Joe's just turned a lot of ways to win. And we can just chop it. Castillo looking to make a comeback here. Definitely last few hands, he's worked his way back up to the 300 mark. That's really nicely done by Cass. Just playing his own game, winning some small hands, and before you know it, he's back in this territory where he's still in it. I do like the raise with the king 10 suited there. Very nice. And the defend, the jack 10. That's a very small bet. Wow. Now that we've arrived at this river, yes, Castillo does win the hand a lot, but I'm not sure how he's going to approach this river. I'm sitting here with the jack 10 high. I'm just wondering what Joe decides to do with it. Wow. And Joe does decide to get the best hand to fold there. But really, really well played by Cass, just sensing that a lot of players are not going to be able to hold on through three streets there, and Joe just being a savage that he is. I mean, as you can see, he did no spade in his hand, and he just went for it. It's definitely difficult. I mean, faced with three streets from Cass, that was very ballsy. I like this raise by Castile. He definitely found the mark where the raise itself was strength enough to get the fold. From a personal standpoint, I would like to see Castile's three bets increase a little bit more in size, but this would be a part of his strategy, especially with how many big blinds he has left. I think that he's trying to have the action kind of speak for itself and be a little bit deeper on these flops. Here we see Castile with the 8. He's going to make the call. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, you do want to do some block betting there with the 8 deuce, and that was really, really well done. Joe approaches this middle or this top pair hand. Just over half pot. Of course, Castiel just has enough to continue, so he just lays it out. Castiel, a little bit of paying some homage to me, I guess. The 10-7 offsuit decides to raise it. Out of position. Not yet rewarded. Doesn't look like he might be rewarded at all, considering Joe turns the flush draw with the king high. That's good. Yeah. Just going to have to let it go. You see the race of the queen 9 in position. See what Joe does faced with this. Just selects to call, take a flop. Ooh, pocket 10s for Joe. See how he decides to play this out of position. Start off with a raise. And Castiel's going to make the call. Hits middle pair. We'll see if Castiel thinks there's enough merit to betting here. He does. He thinks that there is merit. Gets the call. Turn 7. Now, I imagine that a big bet here does get through. Cass decides that he's just going to take showdown, knowing that there is quite a bit of jack and queen that will call him there on the river for another barrel. Interesting to see what Castillo does here with turning the straight. Raises right away. Ooh, the open-ended here against Joe's ace high. Castillo just to slow down just a little. Ace high's just going to take it down. Really wanting to get down to showdown there for both players. This is a monster hand for Castillo. He just turns the flush that could improve to a straight flush. Castillo says, I'm not going anywhere just yet, Joe. Both of these guys turned something to go along with their hand. That's a really nice play by Castillo. It was a good bluff. At least from my perspective, it looked like a bluff. I'd have to go back and look at the hand. Neither player really flopping anything here. But Joe's going to take the initiative. Just go ahead and barrel. I like it. Potentially a really big pot here, depending on what the flop is. Both having the diamonds. Oh, we almost had two diamonds there. Castillo does outflop him, though. Just takes the lead. Interesting spot for Castillo. Let's see what he has to do with this. I just get him to lay it down. Just let him get laid down the 9. So, well played hand by Joe. Castile 3-betting the ace-6 offsuit here. Does get the call in position for the 9-5. Goes for the check on the king-queen 4. Goes check. Joe here turning a 9. We do get the 3-bet for the 9-10 suited out of position and a call. Joe with the only spade on the 3-spade board. And he gets there. His bet is designed to target anything of showdown value. His cast doesn't take the bait this time. He says, I beat nothing. Oh, here we go. So Joe flopping the top pair against cast over pair. Let's see how this all plays out. I can't imagine Joe's going anywhere just yet. Decides to check raise this. Let's see what Cast does. Because Cast's just going to jam. Let's see what Joe does. I wouldn't be surprised to see Joe call this off. And here we are. So we're going to see whether or not the two players want to run it twice or once. I don't know exactly what we're going here. Well, looks like we went once. And Castile wanted to go twice, but he reaps the rewards of the one time. So it looks like Castile's back in it. Of course, then there's going to be some conversation. If you want to run it twice, you hit yes. Mine's set up to auto yes. There might have been some conversation before that could have been had in this scenario, but here we are now. We'll get it all taken care of. So Castile says, did he barrel the 3? I kind of missed that. The 9's good. So, and that's understandable. I mean, you just take showdown value here. I really like that play. As played. Oh, we got the Rockets for Castile. Let's see what happens with them. Oh no. No action. No action for Cass. It's unfortunate. Oof. Is right, Joe. Castile taking it like a champ. Just hits the LOL on that one. They were playing with a queen in their hand, no club. Yeah, I imagine Joe just bets here, just trying desperately to get a fold and no raise out of Cass, and he gets it. Castile's just getting a run of the bottom of his range hands here. Decides to take a flop. I like this C bet by Joe. It's pretty standard. I do like taking the 4 in this instance and doing a fair amount of check raising with it, but Castile decides to just make the call. And here we see Joe getting there on the river. Castile with the 4. I imagine he just checks this over. Joe probably just takes the showdown. But he may go for some thin value against a 9 or a 4. And there's some pocket pairs there. Castile doesn't take the bait here. That's good on him. Just lays it down. Wow. Hey, Joe flopping gin here. I feel like this is a pretty standard range bet by Cass, and just he's gonna have all the overpair strong hands, but decides to make the check. Wow, that's really interesting sense that Cass has. Wow, just dumps it. Little do they each other know that they're at the very bottom of the range. We're playing nut lows here. Oh, and Joe makes a pair. Imagine he's just looking to get to showdown with this 5. Joe opens up the ace deuce. King 6 suited. This can go either way here. Cass turned on his mic there for a minute. Raising the king nine in position does make sense. Joe with the nines, raise it up. Oh my, what a big hand. Joe here with the downgraded to third pair against the flush draw, the three deuce. Joe's going to make the flush, and Joe has the gutter to the straight. He's just going to let it go. Castiel here with the backdoor diamonds and a gutter against top pair. Turns a pair, so he has the gut shot, a pair against Joe here with the ace. It's really going to put Joe in his spot. He's going to feel like he's either way ahead or way behind, I think. And now that he checks, he just obviously just takes the ace showdown. Nice hand, yeah. Well played by both. Oh, Joe with the middle pair against the gutter again. Castiel flopping the two pair here. Fortunately, Joe doesn't have anywhere to go the rest of the way in this hand. Just gives it up. Interesting. Another pocket pair for Joe here, the hooks. And Joe asking here if he wants to play some pot limit Omaha. And Cass is very agreeable to that. Castiel turning 2-pair here. And Joe just decides he's just not good often enough with that second pair. Bottom pair against the 10 high. Taking it down. No, Cass going for the raise, the 7-8. In position. Joe, I imagine he 3-bets this quite a bit. Yep, he does decide to 3-bet it. Let's see if Cass decides to take a flop. He does. This is a really dangerous flop for both of the players. But more so, way more so for Castiel. Oh, okay. The queen doesn't really mean much on that flop. The spade does mean quite a bit. But let's see how Joe decides to proceed. He's going to feel like he has the best hand 100% of the time so far. And we get the full house from Joe. It's good fold. Good fold, Joe. Or good fold, Cass. Back-to-back 9-9 for Joe here. Nice raise. 3-bets it again. Cass decides to make the call. Unfortunately, we don't see a lot going on for Castiel here. In that regard, it is a very scary board for the 9-9 as well. He does have the gut shot and still a pair, though. And he decides to c-bet and take it out. And Castle's going for the 3-bet the 9-8 suited. And then now there's the call. If Castiel flops the flush draw here with the 9. Oh, snap fooled by Joe. Says, I have nothing to do with that flop. Not with my hand. Ten seven offsuit making an appearance. Comes Cast with the hooks. It was a little large. It goes a little large for the open. Gets the immediate fold out of Joe. And judging by the chat, it looks like they're going to do about 5 more minutes of Holdem, and they might switch it to pot limit Omaha. Castiel might be frozen here. See the fold. Is it like Castiel again with the hooks? Hopefully he's not frozen. Nope, looks like he's opening it. Gets the fold out of the 5 deuce. Oh no. So we have the check by the 6-4 on the 9 high, check back the 8. Yeah, Kessel's not going to get a lot of value here. The pocket 9s for Castiel. All right, raise him to 6. Just folds to 7-5. Ace King versus the Ace 5. This might be an interesting hand.
you want to take like a 10-minute break and then come back?
Yep, that works.
All right. See you in 10.
All right, buddy.
And as you heard it, I don't know if you heard it that closely, but they're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we'll be back. Probably playing some PLO next.